We all want to feel better. And there's nothing wrong with that, but the way we go about it can actually lead to more suffering. It all comes down to how we bridge where we are right now and where we want to be, how we want to feel. Hi, I'm Jean-Pierre Claude and welcome to The Further Shore. Here we learn together to embody peace, joy, and love. The Buddha said that suffering is caused by desire, and that is not because wanting something is inherently wrong, but because we approach it from a fundamental misunderstanding. We believe that if we can get this, change our circumstances, achieve something that we really wanted, then we can change how we feel in a permanent way. And to some extent that may be true. We might get a spike of pleasure or enjoyment, but that feeling doesn't last. It visits and then it leaves, like any emotional state, really. So this brings us to a deeper question. If chasing things out there and looking to change our circumstances won't lead us to the lasting peace, joy, and love that we seek, what about turning inward? What about self-mastery? That's ultimately what we want from enlightenment, isn't it? To feel better. But living from your inner peace doesn't make you any less of a human being. When you touch a hot plate, it still hurts. When you hear harsh words, the texture of it still isn't pleasant. There's a common misunderstanding that equates self-mastery with numbness. But actually quite the opposite is true. You experience things with more awareness and more honesty. You often hear that when people go down this journey of self-mastery, that all of a sudden they feel like they're going backwards. There are more problems that they are experiencing, or they're feeling more hurt or more anxious. It's not that they are multiplying the inner friction, it is that they are actually becoming more aware of the friction that was lying underneath all along. It's just all coming to the surface and it's being met with clarity, it's being met with awareness. So when someone goes down this road of self-mastery, what really shifts is that second layer that you add on top of the initial experience. It's the thought commentary on top of that first thing that enters your experience. It's in the story that we spin on top of what is happening. Where we get tripped up is that we think that if we don't fight thoughts and feelings, that we're inviting them to stay. We're treating them like physical objects. If you don't want something physically on the table, you need to pick it up and move it. But thoughts and feelings aren't really like physical objects. They're more like sounds or ripples on water. You can't pick a sound up and throw it away, and you can't still the ripples on a pool by kicking against them or trying to push them under. If we could look at something unpleasant that enters our experience and say to it, "Oh, I see you," and we don't feed it by resisting it, then the thought or the feeling naturally has to dissipate. It runs out of steam. So now you become the observer or the witness of the thought or the emotion that's in your experience. You simply are, and you allow whatever is entering your experience to just be. This means that you could see a thought or a feeling like anger, stress, or anxiety that enters your experience, but you keep a space of awareness between you and that thought or feeling. But don't just take my word for it. By becoming the witness of how thoughts and feelings can enter your experience or your awareness and seeing if you don't energize them and you don't get entangled with them, they naturally dissipate. You build that first-hand experience and confidence in this process and in the temporariness, the transience of thoughts and feelings. And that means that you are building that confidence in being able to let go because you're starting to trust the process. It makes it easier to just let it be. Okay, so let's ground this in an example. Let's say that someone is being mean to you. Of course, that doesn't feel pleasant, and that is the ripple. Now you come to a crossroads. You can resist this meanness and resent how they are making you feel. You can blame them silently, all in response to this unpleasant ripple that has entered your experience. You're resisting it. And before you know it, you're adding more thoughts onto this initial experience. You've spun a whole story out of this single moment, this ripple that entered your experience. Or you could just let the ripple move through your experience. No clinging to it, no resisting it, no pushing against it, no taking action from it. And what does the ripple have to do? It has to run out of steam. It has to dissipate. A ripple doesn't just hang around. It keeps going until it wears itself out. This doesn't mean never acting though. That's a very common misunderstanding when people think about self-mastery. It means not reacting as the ripple. You aren't the stress, the anger, the anxiety that arises in response to someone's action. So the action that you do take comes from something stable. It comes from your settled mind. And you can feel the difference between taking action out of reaction to someone else's behavior or when you are taking action out of allowance and in resonance with your clarity. And from that place, you might actually choose not to respond, or you might respond by telling someone how their actions are only hurting themselves and others. The exact action that you take doesn't matter as much as the place from where it's arising. If someone is mean to you, so they're throwing hot coals at you, they're lashing out at you, they're just being mean. Can you hold a space of compassion for them? Can you still look at them through eyes of love and care and see the same human being in them that is within you, but seeing that they're acting from their own hurt and that this barb is causing them to act in a way that isn't in resonance with who they truly are and how they want to feel? Or do we only look at the surface and see the ripple and pick up our own hot coals to throw back at them? Because in the end, everyone just gets burnt that way. And that's the real test. Can you hold a space of unconditional allowance for whatever enters your experience? Because that's how you remain anchored in the moment, but also remain stable in your inner peace and in your deeper sense of joy. So self-mastery is really asking us to look beyond just the surface ripples. It's asking us to really consider what is lasting and what isn't, what's transient and what is an enduring element of our experience. Not because it'll remove the ripples from our experience, but because there's a freedom in not reacting to every ripple that enters your experience. There's a freedom in allowing things to be exactly as they are. But it goes further than simply not reacting. From your inner peace, compassion shines through you naturally, and it moves you to act in ways that are beneficial to yourself and others. And in this way, self-mastery and inner peace isn't just a retreat from harm, but it actually becomes a way in which we spread love and peace over the world. But these aren't just flowery words. We're talking about the lived experiential change that you get from changing your perspective and changing your relationship with the thoughts and the feelings that are entering your experience. And you can viscerally feel the difference between taking action out of resistance to what is and out of consciously taking actions aligned with your clarity to the benefit of yourself and others. Be your own light and be a light to others, because that's how we bring more peace, joy, and love into the world. In the end, the ripples of the world will still enter your experience. But because you change your relationship with those ripples and you change your perspective, your whole experience will transform. And that experience is one of being totally free. And that freedom comes from radical allowance of what is in your experience. From there, your actions are your own and they are empowered. If this resonated with you, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to The Further Shore so you don't miss our next discussion on embodying true freedom. If you want to walk with me exploring more topics like these, please visit my website at jeanpierreclaw.com. Until next time, take care and remember to be kind to yourself.